See, Vincent, I like to keep everything really kind of casual and easy because,
Great.
if it gets too formal, then I just don't
Yeah,
want to
no.
do stuff.
And also
Hello,
people,
everyone.
yeah,
Welcome to Healing for Healers podcast. I've got Vincent McMahon with me as a guest, and it's actually my first time really talking to him. I wanted to read his bio out. I've read a lot of your stuff, and I think it's fascinating the way you think differently, but yet there's very similar themes in there, and the language that you use and the way that you come at different topics is fascinating. And I really think we need to get our brains working so that we can discuss things at a higher level. So before we get into our chat, just let you know, Vincent McMahon has a master's in healthcare management. He runs a successful consulting and mentoring business. He's been doing it for over 30 years. Passionate about putting you back in the driving seat of your life. I love that. Vincent studied with shamans, mystics, quantum theorists, and lectured on subjects such as quantum consciousness and well-being in Ireland, the UK, France, and Australia. Vincent's the author of Custodians, A Solution for the Earth in Crisis, and is an ambassador. I'm probably going to say this wrong. Ambassador for the Wynnum Erigayam Rainforest Tribe in the West
brilliant. Yeah,
Papuan Islands. So you're living now in Tortorella,
yeah,
and I was looking at your website there, and what really jumped out at me, and I had just said this to you before we started recording, is your idea of a simple man or woman that
yeah,
moves to a complex man, that moves to a sovereign man. And I really
yeah.
feel that at the moment we're struggling moving into our sovereignty, maybe as a collective. And a lot of the work that I've been doing with the inner child has shifted more into inner teenager. And I think that's where you sparked up there because you heard some of the work I was doing on that, because we are growing as a collective. We're growing as intellectually and psychically.
Mm.
And I think the teenager wants a little bit of freedom, but also likes the structure of the rules around them. And I have a feeling we're going slightly beyond that now, to the point where say, okay, we're responsible adults.
Mm.
We want to be able to decide for ourselves, and that's where the sovereignty comes in. So I'd love it if we chatted about that first, and let's just see where the conversation
See where
goes.
we go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It always it struck me when I found out we had three stages to life because I don't know. I thought like you had two stages, first half, midlife, and then you just went into the second half. And when I heard there was three stages, I was like, oh my God, this is exciting. Like, how does this work out? And then the three stages are mentioned in loads and loads of different texts in different ways.
Mm.
They describe them. So I just picked one and I said, okay, it starts getting very complicated as in the labels that are used. So let's just pick one label that works and bring people through three stages. So the one I use is simple man, which is man and woman. So you have to just simple man, complex man, sovereign man. And so in simple man at that stage, we're just young and naive, where the world is a magical place and you get hours. I would have got hours on the riverbank, out with my parents fishing, and I would just be lost in the hedgerows or just down the riverbank with looking in the river. And then my parents would have to call me to come home. You're gone for hours.
You wouldn't
Or
have had a phone in those days. They come out and
you
shout
didn't.
and ring the bell. Yeah.
That was a special shout down the river, and you'd be called back. So it's that magical time where you've got bags and bags of energy. Actually, you don't. There's almost like um, you have a volume of energy that is almost untapped. You're running around. Then they say, come on in for something to eat, and you've forgotten totally about eating. Um, and then we lose it. We move from that simple stage, which is really magical and full of energy. We go to kind of school, and then we go into college, or we get a job, and the world, that magical world, closes down and it starts getting complex. So we have to make choices. Do you go to university? Do you get a job? And then it's, do you get married? Do you stay single? Do you stay in the same country? Like, it all becomes choices, choices, choices after that, and decisions. And you're never quite sure, did I make the right decision? Was that what I should have done? So even when you have decided, it's still complex. And then those decisions spawn other decisions. You make a choice, you've got something else to make a choice after that. So
Mm.
it's all fine when you've bags of energy, you're in your 20s, your early 20s, and then it just wears you down. It's just like you create a web of complexity around you. Like I don't know, like I think the complexity really struck me when I was trying to unpack financially to be more um, financially independent. And I looked through my bank statements, and I had direct debits going out. I didn't know what is that direct debit. I've made a decision at some point to do a life assurance policy or some others, and I looked through my bank statements. There were entries I didn't even know what they were, you know, because I was in IT, I was making lots of money. You made loads of choices and decisions, and then when you try and unpack the web that you've created, it's actually quite difficult. You know, you've really so that's really complex, man. You've really um, you really create this web that restricts you. Um,
Can we just
and
go deeper into that? Would you say, because I know that men and women, they are different, and that men are very good at compartmentalizing things. And so when you're looking at the magical world of, let's say, the wonder of the child, the archetypal one magical child, and
mm,
then trying to fit yourself into a world where that's not allowed, that you would cut pieces of yourself off of yourself and put them all into different boxes and just living in, maybe that's where the web comes through. Is that kind of what I'm reading right?
in working with clients, what I found was you just put it behind that magical child was just put behind you, and you went into the world as a role, and sometimes many roles. So I was the IT guy, or I was the dad. So you pick up these roles that aren't you, and you just leave your magical child behind. So the roles are false. They're obviously not you, but also they're like a suit of armor. So they don't allow you to receive all the reciprocal energy that the universe
Mm,
wants to give you. So
yes.
you're you're going out going, I'll save the world, I'll say, I'll put people on my back, and I'll protect them, and I'll get the mortgage, and I'll do all these things. And the universe is going, yeah, here's all the energy back for all the energy you're putting into it. And you're going, like Superman, no, it's okay. I'm the dad, I'm the IT guy. You don't need to give me all the tanks. So Superman is like gone off to the next problem and doesn't wait around for all the people who want to thank him for the work that he did, and that. And so my client work, men and women are very similar like that. They want to do things. They want to, help people and show up in the world, do all these things. But actually, on the receiving side, to actually receive all the thanks of the universe, either money or love or whatever, they're just like, it's okay. This is what I do. I'm a mother. It's okay. I'm a dad. I don't need your thank. I don't need all that, but you do. Because that energy of reciprocal energy is what keeps you afloat.
Right.
So when complex man, when you're not receiving, when you're not allowing the universe to replenish you, you're on a downward, because the energy just gets more tiring. The suits of falseness, the armor that you wear to get through the day, just get rusty and
Gets
get heavy.
heavier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, there has to be more to life than this. And a part of you remembers the magical child. You go, I remember that I used to have loads of energy. I remember that the world was a magical place. How did it all get so serious?
Yeah.
How did it all get so heavy, and all, decisions and bills and all, where is that lightness? Where is that spontaneity that I used to have? It wasn't somebody else. It was me. I used to have this. And so I think the universe kind of prompts in a little bit to go, remember you had this. And then you go in search of it. So I was trying to find out what gives me joy, and I couldn't find out. I was like, I can't remember. It's all work now. It's
Wow.
all because IT had grown. Like I was in IT in the 80s, when it was really only beginning to get on people's desks. A lot of companies I was working for, the CEOs were saying, could you get the internet in my house? Because they didn't have the internet in my house. So I was working in IT in the companies, and I was all of a sudden being asked, can you put the internet in my home? And I met Bill Gates at that stage. You know, I got an award from Bill Gates because I was running a training company, and Windows was beginning to make progress. Actually, we forget that at that time it wasn't how we know it. And so we came to Ireland, and he was giving awards to training companies that were running Windows programs. So, you know, IT and all, it all got very complex. It just got really, I just lost myself in it. You know, I lost it. And also the mobile phones came. So I was working all the time, Saturdays, Sundays, because you had a mobile phone. Your work just went into the weekends, you know. So complex man, I was living complex man. You know, all this phones, computers, the whole lot. It was just all complex. Um, and as I say, I couldn't find out what gave me joy. And my
But the fact that the
daughters,
question arose in you is
yeah.
amazing because so many people never stop to think until they have a literal car crash and end
Well,
up.
I suffered from depression, and my doctor said to me, he said, "You're actually depressed." He said, I on a Saturday morning, I'd be on a couch, I couldn't get up. I just couldn't get up. I'd get up, have a bit of breakfast, go back on the couch, just couldn't get up. I'd sleep for hours over the weekend, just couldn't get up off the couch. And he said, unless you change something in your life, I'm going to have to put you on medication. And that was the big no for me. It was like, I don't care what I've got to do. I am not going on medication. So it started me on a journey of I've got to change something in my mechanics. And but I was like it was funny. It was like an IT person, you know. I took the IT thing into personal development because I was like, just log it. If I just log it as a problem, I can solve it. Like everything was solvable in IT. You just log it and we would solve it. So obviously personal development is the same.
Mhm.
Not even not even close. Like I'm years now after I was like in the 90s, I'm years after going, this is not a weekend course. You can't just go on a course, read it, get a book, you know. It's not like IT. So I had to struggle to get the whole understanding that this is a long journey, you know.
Wow.
So that's complex man. And something does prompt something your soul. I think it is your soul that prompts and says, you know, come on, you've experienced complex man. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to sovereign
That's
man.
why you're really here to
Yeah,
continue in this realm. Yeah.
to get, and I think to get conscious. To me, it's a huge journey to become conscious because in simple man, you're running around as a kid, you're not conscious. The hours go by, you're actually not conscious of it. Yeah, it's an unconscious state. In complex man, it's actually unconscious as well. We don't think about it,
Mhm.
but once you go into a place of choice and decisions, your psyche fragments into the choice. Is it this or is it that? And they are not whole. In that moment, you stop being whole and you fragment, as you say, exactly, compartmental. You know, you go, is this compartment for this? Is this my family is in a compartment, my job is and in that you're obviously not whole. You've compartmentalized, you fragmented. And once you've fragmented, you're not conscious. And we know from the research as we go through our life, we're 95% unconscious.
Mm.
And so in my journey in personal development, once I found out the scale, because I had to get the guy to go, I said, hold on a minute, you said 95% unconscious? Like I kind of thought it was maybe 50-50, so that a decision I'd make might be conscious, maybe the next moment I'm unconscious. But you're saying 95% are unconscious? Like that scale is enormous.
That's that
That
image, isn't it, with the iceberg?
that's the iceberg.
Most of it is underneath the consciousness.
So
Yeah.
most of the day, and that's where, you know, when I was talking about hypnotic realities, you really are in a hypnotic reality as you go through your day. Uh, and so the images, the visuals, the smell, everything helps you to be in a hypnotic reality. And it's so my the important thing of moving to the sovereign state, third state, is to become conscious. So you get to embody the simple man within you who's always there, and the energy and the vitality and the spontaneity, you bring it back consciously.
Hmm.
You also have all your warrior stripes from complex man, you know, all the challenges. You kind of
And the
go,
scars.
yeah, you go. hey, I'm not letting them go. I've got to learn all the learning of that, but it was tiring. It got tiring. And I take that plus Simple Man, and now I get a chance to live it all as me. I found out through the complexity who the hell I was. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Through all that thing, I kind of went, wow. And I found out the things that I wasn't, a lot of bloody stuff that I did that just was not me. And it didn't turn out, it really didn't turn out very well. But in that process, I kind of discovered, shit, okay, there's a person in there that's really unique, that has stuff that is really me. Um, and now I get a chance to live it consciously. It's an incredible stage to get to. But what people do, men and women, is the complex energy stage has a lot of energy to it. You're slaying dragons, you're working, you're on phones, you're doing whatever. It's got hugely vital. People go backwards. They don't want to go into sovereign. They get a taste of that nice flow, that nice sovereign stage, but it's not got all that slaying energy and hustle and all that energy.
Will you
And they
just
miss.
explain what you mean in the sovereign stage, just for people who might not
so,
know what
so
that is?
sovereign stage is where you embody all aspects of you. So you consciously pick up the parts of you from Simple Man and all the parts of you from Complex Man, and you embody yourself totally in a conscious way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not blocking off bits of yourself. Like I have an image of a bedroom, right?
Mm.
And so for the compartmentalization that men can do, they put everything in a box, put it on a shelf. Whereas for women, everything's out on the floor and all over the room and all over the bed. So they're feeling everything and don't know where the feelings are coming from.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah.
how I see the difference in organizing. And so this would be owning the bedroom, owning all the stuff in the bedroom, going through it, getting rid of stuff, opening up stuff, and making it a more of a livable space. Would that
But
be what you mean?
and seeing the bit that in all of that, that's you. So some of the bits mightn't have been you, but you had the experience. So you're as a woman, you're looking at the bedroom and you're saying, those clothes, I have
My mother
them.
gave me them and they don't fit me and they never
Maybe
did.
maybe some of them still are. Like that's the whole thing. Is in Sovereign Man, you go, wow. There are some things that I did in my 70s and 80s that were actually me.
Yeah.
Like I put a post up yesterday. I'm going to Ireland next week, and I'm actually playing football with guys that I played with in 1979. It's 45 years ago, you know, and it's that journey of going. The parts that was me in 1979. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you don't lose a whole section of your life. So, but I think you're embodying a whole part of yourself that maybe we talk about shadow, that maybe you did put into a place that you said that's not me. That I think in the very early stages, we do separate a whole section of ourselves for life, and we say the environment, our parents, whatever the environment, that's
You know
not.
what came up yesterday, Vincent? That's really interesting because I run groups and this was in my healing circle. We do a life mastery every month. And one of the women there was saying, I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to do the other and need. And I said, hang on a minute. What if you didn't need to do anything? What if you not exercising today is what you actually do need? And that when you're putting a need on it, it brings in that, what's the word? It's the aversion, it's the repulsion energy.
Hmm.
And we do that to ourselves. I think that's what makes us very complex. It's driving the car with the foot on the brake and the accelerator at the same time. All the things I think I need to do, all the things I think I need to be, is the pressure you put on yourself. And then you put those pieces of yourself away in those boxes so you don't see the pieces that you are, the pieces that you
Yeah.
want to be. And
Yeah.
it's about getting rid of all that needing and
And
just
they've got the
allowing.
energy. Those things that you put away in the shadow actually have the energy.
Yeah.
So a lot of clients, if you talk to them, um, they can be very nice. They need to do this, and they show up in the world as being this nice person, but actually there's no energy, there's no believability. The energy is in the boxes. You open up the cupboard and you go, whoa, that leather jacket. those things that you wore
I
that were
was really
really,
happy going to the disco wearing that when I was strutting me stuff, and I can still do it now.
you see, so there's energy there. When you open up those dark compartments, you go, whoa, these are that, and you don't want to look at them because they're edgy. There's energy in there. But then
Yes.
you're more believable. You're actually more now. Maybe in Complex Man, you were kind of trying them out, and you did, they kind of felt a bit awkward. You were trying them.
Yeah,
But
edginess doesn't belong in your life that you've chosen right now. But if
yeah,
there's an edginess about you as the makeup of who you are, then it has to be in there as the spectrum of all the aspects of you.
and the world needs more edgy people. Come on, do you know what I mean? This is the now of all times, bring those edges out, but you have to be comfortable in them. They have to be you. You can't just be edgy for the sake of being edgy. And I think in Complex, like when I was a teenager, I'd throw in grenades, like verbal grenades, just for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? It was just like drop a grenade and then go. And it was a defense
But you
mechanism.
know what, though, what I'm noticing is that if you take this, sticking with them, with the images we're using, if you take that jacket out and it is yours and it's well worn, and here's the bit where I scraped against the wall, and
Hmm?
here's the bit where, and you put it on, it doesn't mean you have to always drop those bombs or always be the one causing trouble, because it melts into you and you're wearing it, it's
Yeah,
part of you. And then you can choose as the mature adult, which
yeah.
is what you aren't as the teenager, that you can say, okay, well, right now I'm just going to sit back and watch. Right now I'm just going to observe.
And that's what I'm saying. Sovereign man, if you, one word for sovereign man is conscious. So you're conscious of the things that you do and how you are in the world. So those bombs that I would do now, it's for me, it's a change in perspective. So if when I think of things that I discover, when I lived with a tribe or when I stayed with quantum physicists, those things for me were huge changes in perspective, and they are like bombs, but you're very conscious now of how you use them.
Yes.
You don't just drop them around. You go, no, no, no. There's loads of time when you just shut up.
But
You
you see,
don't
I
breathe
heard this
properly.
really great thing and it's going to change your life, and I have to tell you about it.
Yeah, within
But then you
seconds
get
of
into the
reading it.
mature, like the elder who just sits there.
Yeah,
And then if they want to know, they'll go and ask.
yeah.
And the elder will give of themselves, give of the wisdom.
Because it takes years. Like when I lived with a tribe, I thought I was going to be different on the plane coming back. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be this different person. Like I live with a tribe. There was nobody there. It was just me and them, and they didn't speak English. And I got an invitation to go over, so I didn't have anybody with me. They didn't speak English, so it was all hand. If I wanted to eat, I would say eat, and um, you know, they're walking through the forest, and they'd look to me and they'd say, "You lead now." And they just bring me to the forward, and they'd get me to lead. And
How
I
long
looked
did
at
you stay with them?
3 weeks,
Okay.
which isn't a long time, but it's Indonesia up the mountains. So 3 weeks of people who do not know you and do not speak English, you just think you're gone. Like and and also they wanted to show me the forest, so they brought me 8 hours into the mountains, and we'd stay overnight in a village, and then we go 8 hours again the next day up into the mountains and stay in the village, and then we go 8 hours into the mountains again. So we went days up into the mountains, and every night we stayed in a different village. So by 6 days in, 7 days in, I was gone. Like, in order for me to get back to Ireland, I worked it out in my mind. I had to walk back down, stay in a village overnight, walk back down, stay in another village, walk back down, stay. I was days away from ever getting on a flight, and even the flights don't go every day. So I just lost it. I had a meltdown. I completely lost it in the forest. I was too
Probably
far
what you
away.
needed to do, though.
Oh, I mean, it's perfect, but Jesus, at the time, I went on my knees on the ground and just retched because I'd gone too far. I just answered an invitation. I'll go. They wanted to go rainforest. I'll just go. And I ended up days into the forest with the people I didn't know, too far outside my comfort zone. And then it rained and everything got wet. And I just
Wow.
collapsed. I literally collapsed on the ground in a just a complete meltdown. I didn't think I could get helped. They couldn't help me. They didn't understand my language. How could I even tell them what was going wrong with me? I couldn't tell them. I was so far from home. I couldn't get back. to a plane. It was just the amount of days that it would take for me to get home.
Mm.
It was just beyond my psychology. So I just collapsed. I said, if I died here, nobody would ever find me because I was too far into
Yeah.
into
Sure,
the
if you had left
forest.
on your own, you wouldn't have found the villages yourself as well.
Yeah, you'd never discover it, you know.
But that
So
breaks all the spells, doesn't it? The hypnosis that you've been talking about there that you mentioned, that's it's kind of like
I
it
think that
puts
was
you
the
in
crack.
front of your
Yeah,
own mortality.
that trip was the crack that I found a people who lived so differently than the way I lived in Ireland, you know, and they had loads of food. They had, everybody had a house. There was no bills. Like I was so caught in complex man in Ireland. I had mortgages, bills, companies ringing me all the time. And then I sat in a hut with a people who said, you can just live here. They said, just live. Obviously didn't have English, but they just gave me the thing.
Mm.
Here's food. Here's a hut. Just live here. And it was the first time that I felt you can actually live just without any of that complexity,
Yeah.
nothing. And they have everything, food, they have everything. I'm not saying they don't have challenges. The Indonesian government are logging, not where they are, but coming in close to where they are.
Mm.
Um, so they do have challenges, but the life is idyllic for me. So but the thing about it is that was me. It's interesting conversation. That was me trying to go back to simple man, and that's one of the things that we try and do
Ah,
when we get so complex in our lives. We try and go back to a really simple. I'll just go buy a bit of land and do nothing. I'll just go back to simple man, but you can't. Your psychology, your psyche is always trying to get you to move to the third stage, to sovereign man. And it's a simpler way of living, but it's not going back to that.
so you're fully conscious, a sovereign
Yes,
man.
yeah,
You are doing everything you're doing, all the choices that you make, you're aware of, which I find really interesting, Vincent, because I thought that was me, let's say 4 or 5 years ago. And I was a bit cocky about it. And then
mm,
all the choices that I had made subconsciously just showed themselves to me. I said, yeah, you think you've made all the choice because every single choice you make, it's just so many
mm,
choices,
mm, mm.
you know, that we're actually, to say, okay, I'm fully aware of all the choices I'm making is setting yourself up for a fall.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah,
is.
because a lot of the choices, right? I signed bank agreements, and I was totally unconscious. You know what I mean? I was going with impulses that were in my
But
unconscious,
sure, look,
and
we've all
so.
signed those agreements on our phone for apps and stuff, and we don't know what the heck we're signing.
Mm, mm,
It's
mm. It's not conscious man is hard, and I'm saying conscious man as in the structure is man, but it's man and woman. It's hard because you've got to sit and go in this decision, what are my needs in it? Because during complex man, you put a lot of other people's needs as a priority.
yeah.
So it's almost like as conscious man, you need to put like an oxygen mask on the plane on yourself and go, my needs first. I've got to get my own joy, and then I'm a better person. I'm just my what are my joys? What makes me joyful? And then the rest of the world is a better place because
I
of
want to
that.
go back to the image of you though after the rain, as you say, in the rainforest they have their own challenges, and rainforest is named because it rains. How did you bring yourself back from that in order to continue?
Well, well, actually, I was actually okay, and this is, I think, a big learning for me. No matter how bad, when I was depressed or when I was in the rainforest with the meltdown, you're actually okay, but you don't realize it. So I was okay. I put up my one man tent we were on a riverbed because it was quicker to get on a riverbed to the next village between mountains. I just put up my one man tent on the riverbed, and I just tried to get some clothes that were kind of dry and my sleeping bag, and I had a little bag of trail mix. Ate the trail mix, and I just got in and I slept for hours.
Yeah.
Got up the next morning, unzipped my one man, and they were just the tribe were just over at the side of the river bank, um, with a little fire cooking bananas. They had loads of bananas around the place. They cook bananas on a fire, and they knew I was okay. I just was going through
The way I
a
see it is there's little you and big you. So our big you is your higher self. Little you is, let's say, Abby's personality, Abby's moods, emotions. It's like the not that necessarily the incarnation of who you are, but it's that ego-based structure that lives in the day to day. And that part of you isn't okay, whereas your higher self is always okay.
is always okay. But you're in the human. I mean, the human self is pretty. That's you're feeling it. You're really feeling. I'm just not okay. And you're in a place where you're just so far away from any reference point that you
Yeah.
can. And they thought I was an alien. One village we went to, and my contact who invited me in, he couldn't be there for security reasons with the Indonesian government, but I met him afterwards. I said to him, we went to this village and they looked at me strange. The kids came over to me when I was they had a little piece of wood for a shower, a little piece of wood, and the water came off it. And I was having a shower in the morning, and all the village kids came over and they were just staring at me, like all of me. And he said that village is so far up, they'd never seen a white man before in that village. So I was like an alien coming in, and I pop up my one-man tent. So the one-man tent was like more of an alien because I came with my
Yeah.
little house. I didn't go in the hut because there was mosquitoes, so I had my one. So you really are outside any reference range that would give you something solid to put, your ego to say, okay, but I'm okay because I'm working in IT and I have money. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your money is worthless. Your credit card
That's what
is
I
worth.
felt exactly that when I went to the Sahara.
Yeah.
It
Just
felt like, and I had this image that all the sand just flipped over and it was all mirrors, and all I could see was myself. And I thought you could either go crazy here or have an epiphany, depending on how much work you've done. And what happened for me, which was really interesting, is that all this beauty came in and I was able to receive, which is goes back to what you said at the beginning of this conversation, which is we have trouble receiving. And it was the reflection of me telling me that I have to receive this, that this is part of me as well, because
amazing.
we have to accept all of the aspects of us. And it was
Amazing.
just incredible. It's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
Because in complex man, we don't receive. We're just going through it all, doing this, doing that
Giving,
project,
giving,
slaying
giving. Yeah.
dragons, giving, giving, giving. And like Superman or Wonder Woman, we're doing all these things. But actually, if you look at those superheroes, does Wonder Woman or Superman receive? You never get a chance. They're off to fight the next problem. So Sovereign Man is about, yeah, is about receiving. And actually, the next village, after it rained and after I got up, the next village was just around the corner, and a woman from the village came to me with a pineapple, and they cooked a pig, which is, I mean, they eat a lot of vegetables, but to cook a pig is kind of a thing they do for guests. So I was really looked after within a very short space of time, which is perfect. What the universe, does. Once you get through the hell inferno, we'll give you
The dark
roasted
night
pig.
of the soul.
Here's some roasted pig and pineapple.
Bring you back into your body. Well, I do find when you're doing the psychic work and the psychological work, when you eat something like that of the ground, of the earth, it
Yeah,
really connects you to the land,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
holding you all the time, and you just don't realize it. Particularly in a city, like the land doesn't feel like it's holding anyone here because it's all concrete, bricks and mortar. But
yeah.
underneath that, there's land.
You need to be earthed, all the stuff and any that kind of journey, psychological work we need. And that's why, I go out and plant potatoes here in southern Italy, as an Irishman, they're looking at me going, what's the priority? Big thing about potatoes. And I'm going, I'm Irish. Potatoes are, because they're like, for an Irish person, they're like pasta. They're like Italian pasta. We have them with everything. They don't get it on there. No, no, no. It's very important.
Nothing like
Potato.
potatoes that you grew yourself. My husband's just after planting some in the allotment. So yeah.
Yeah. Very sweet. So that's a journey that's free. So Sovereign Man is really the golden stage. You're getting to that point where it's the only time you're conscious. Actually, I mean fully conscious. Complex mind, you're going around making all those choices. but you're fragmented into the choices and you're not fully conscious. You're probably about in that 95%
So can we
unconscious.
talk now about the hypnotic stuff? Because you had mentioned that in the email to me before the
Yeah.
interview, because my feeling is that you're in that complex man woman phase,
Mm,
and everything in the world, everything in society is conspiring to keep you in that.
mm.
Because when you're sovereign, you have your power. When you're sovereign, you know, you direct your energy to where you feel it should go instead of it leaking out from you into all the things that are disempowering you. And so I'm finding that the two things are connected.
Yeah, I mean, sovereign man is conscious. So that's why hypnotic realities really come up for into our awareness, because the moment we go into a hypnotic reality, we lose that ability to be in the driving seat of our life. And
Right.
that's my work with
There we go.
clients, is to keep, we have to go back into to be in the driving seat. So it, hypnotic realities, there's a huge range of research, of understanding. Okay, so you can get lost down so many rabbit holes, but there are some simple things to remember. One of the things is description. Words will describe reality and set up a hypnotic reality. The minute you describe something, you're beginning to set up, in how you describe it, beginning to set up a hypnotic reality. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Time, and you mentioned time earlier. So in the Western world, we describe time as linear. So in our description of that, we've automatically set up a hypnotic reality that involves linear time. So we've got clocks. We organized this call at 12. So we're in a linear, yeah. Now, what happens in that, we say, well, but is that not just reality? No, it's a hypnotic reality, because what happens in that hypnotic reality is you get the accumulation, because it's linear, you get the accumulation of things. So that we're looking at wars happening in the world that have accumulated over decades, centuries, lots of things that have never been cleared in linear hypnotic reality accumulate. So they never get sorted. And so you get into cycles of things that have never been sorted. So you say, well, but is that not just the way it is? That's just time. No, because if you take a tribe, if you take an indigenous people, what they do is their view of time is that it's not linear. They don't see it linear. They see it as a cycle. And so at the beginning of every year, loads and loads of indigenous tribes actually reset the clock. They go back in ritual, they go back to the beginning of creation. So they start creation again. They clear everything, all the ills, all the stuff that is accumulated in the year, because they only have a year, is all cleared in ritual, and they start again at zero. So that ritual, from going back into the chaos of creation, they literally ritualize the chaos of creation to start it all again, clear everything from the year before, and they start the beginning. Now, the beginning of the year doesn't have to be January. In different tribes, it could be March, or at different times of the year.
That's more in sync with the earth and the season.
Of course, it's clear. The rains come, the snows come. Here, you get all the rains, you get everything. It's all gone, and you start again. So nature. That's what nature does. So there. It's another hypnotic reality, but it's based on nature, which is clear everything. Start the year, that you don't have something going. Remember last June, you bloody well said something, or this thing happened, you didn't get it. They go, that's gone. That's gone. We're now zero, and it's fresh and it's new.
Are they always living in the present moment then, because they're doing that? Or just
Maybe,
within this year?
yeah. I think, yeah. There's a mix. There's a mix, definitely. They have egos. There's battles between tribes. It's not as pure, I think, as we think. But definitely, as regards time, they've a much, I feel, a much healthier. One of in the anthropological research, it's amazing. The guy said one of the fears of indigenous people is that they would fall into linear time. They would actually fall into a hypnotic reality that is linear. For them, it's like, it's a dread that you would fall into a time that accumulates everything. You'd never get a chance to clear. It's like, oh my God, that's for them is a fear. And now
Mm.
I'm going, that's what we live in the West. We live in that all the time. We live in this cumulative, and we're looking at all the things that we see around in the media pretty much have accumulated, have never been sorted.
I'm thinking though we have to divide that out a bit, because even in, I don't know if you watched, there was a Joe Rogan episode where he had this guy called Flint Dibble, and then he had Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
And they're archaeologists, and one of them is the traditional academic, and Graham
Mm,
Hancock, of course, has his big, we had a master ancient civilization that was
mm,
far ahead of us technically, and
yeah.
then they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
And they were arguing it out,
Yeah.
but the arguments seemed to never meet anywhere in the middle. And
Yeah.
then Joe Rogan said, but we have people living in the rainforest and people living in Tokyo at the same time.
Mm,
So why is it not possible that we could have these ancient, advanced
yeah. Yeah.
people and these
Yeah.
tribal people at the same time? And I'm thinking this is what's kind of happening now, is that
Mm,
our society is splitting out,
mm,
and the different ways that we live aren't suiting us as a species anymore. And so we're going to have those different ways of living within, even in Ireland or in
yeah.
Italy, that there's people having totally different lives
Yeah.
in the same area.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, you see, there's two parts to this conversation. I think one is the kind of global linear time, and then the second is for people, your individual linear time in your life. Okay.
Mm,
So all great leaders throughout history have actually stood above historical time, and they've looked down at what's happening, and said to their people, okay, this is where we are now in linear time, but that's just from the perspective above. That's really not, you're just in it, you're in the cave, you don't really see it. The same is true of our life, and definitely working with clients is to take them above the linear life, and say, yes, here's your life, simple man, complex man, and now sovereign man. And when you sit above it, as a perspective above it, it's completely different. Your perspective is completely different of your life. And part of what I do is take people on a journey across the three stages. So they go back to their life as simple man, but they're viewing it from above, and they're viewing it from this vantage point, and it's completely
mm,
different. And you're conscious of what was happening at that time, and then you move along into the complexity. And then when you get to sovereign man, it's funny because there's a point where something comes out of the revisiting of the two stages, and you go, I can see it, and the client says, did you see this person? There's a person that was present in simple man and complex man. Did you see this person? And they go, yeah. I didn't think that was. And I say, it's you. You actually see the person through the fog of those stages. There's a thread of the actual. It's incredible. It's like what you're saying about the jacket. There's a thread of the person that you go, wow, look at this person. Look at this person. And almost the whole session stops at that point, because you've kind of gone,
well, we're so
that's
used to
it's
introducing
you.
ourselves, shaking hands, and I'm an accountant, and I'm a this, and I'm a that. And it's this
Yeah.
whole thing of identity, which I think is another
Mm,
hypnotic
mm.
reality,
But
which
you've
is
given
why
your
I think
power to the identity then, and then
exactly.
you're
And then you
unique.
need your tribe of all the other people that
Mm,
identify as the same as you.
mm,
And then you hang out with them, and that becomes your whole life. And what's
yeah.
really interesting to me is that my children have said that a lot of these people who are fighting for their identities to
Mm,
be recognized across
mm,
globally, that they said they're not very interesting people, Mama, and they really don't have anything else in their lives, only
yeah.
this. And I thought that
But
was just,
you've collapsed it down. For me, being the IT guy, the vastness of who I am as a soul being, an immortal soul being, I had collapsed all that down to be the IT guy. And
yeah.
I thought that was big deal. Like, I thought that was, oh my God, I'm amazing. I'm this
Yeah,
IT
but
guy.
Vincent, you can live quite happily in a hut in the rainforest.
But they appreciate
They
your
don't match.
immortality. They appreciate your soul thing. A part of me is that IT guy. A part of me is that, you know what I mean? That is me.
Well, you are
But
a problem solver.
yeah,
And and a thinker, and you like to solve problems. If you can describe what your skills or your capacities without labeling them and creating little identities, is what you said, the role shifting. I come home and then I'm mama, I go to work, and then I'm the teacher, and I go, and I'm doing all these different things. But where are you? You're the thread that joins them all
all
together.
that joins them all. And that's what you find when you go through the journey of of simple man, complex man into sovereign man. It's the thread that you see. It's amazing. It's like, whoa, who's this person? And neither of us know. You don't know. You kind of go, did you see that? Did you see that person? They go, yeah, no, I saw it, I saw it, I saw it. It's like, that's incredible. That's you. That's you,
But it's
and
what you
it's
said
always
as
huge.
well is wonderful about how the tribe brought the pig out for the guests. I
Mm,
mean, that for them is a ceremony. That for
mm,
you is a ceremony to sit with them, and they sacrifice this animal, and it's something special above the day to day. And they reset the time, right? But here we are going. I mean, my son is going to be 21. There's no rites of passage, there's
mm,
no big ceremony, there's
mm,
nothing that
mm.
happens in our society
Yeah,
culture that suddenly the adults start treating the new adult as an adult.
yeah.
And I had an epiphany there several years ago, which is, oh my God, I am as old as my parents were when they had me.
Mm,
And I'm thinking, oh, my dad's very eccentric. He doesn't like doing this on his phone. He doesn't like that. And I'm going, hang on, I'm allowed to be eccentric too. And I'm allowed to say what I like and what I don't like. And they can respect me because I'm in my 50s now. And it's like, I don't, it's not always me being the dutiful daughter.
yeah,
I'm an adult in my own right as well. And that's part of and we haven't had that rites of passage.
yeah,
So, bringing that kind of thing back in would be so
yeah.
valuable. But
And I
where do
think
you
that,
how do you start?
you see, it's exactly in, in tribal customs, ritual makes it conscious.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
And
why
hypnosis makes it
it's
subconscious
you're gone,
and it
you're
slips
gone,
past and you
you're
missed
gone.
it.
Now, it's not to say that that's not to say within a ritual container in an indigenous situation, that they shamans will use um, hypnotic reality to get, as I said to you in my email to you, transformation, as in
Yeah.
put you in a trance to get the transformation. So they'll have the smells, the sounds, the drum beats. I mean, anthropologists would say no matter how intellectual the person is, given the drum beats, you take somebody from the West, you give the smells, you give the drums, you give the sounds, the visuals, and they're gone. They're no matter how far you're into Harvard or Stanford, within within an hour, you're in a hypnotic reality and you're doing the dance or you're doing the drum, and they can get the transformation. And but that's known within society. So if you take I have it in my book. Dunkin' Donuts did this test in India on a bus, in a public bus in India. They set up the music that it would play the Dunkin' Donuts jingle when the GPS picked up the next Dunkin' Donuts store. So the bus would be going along. The GPS would pick up the location the Dunkin' Donuts store is coming. They play the Dunkin' Donuts jingle on the bus and they blow the Dunkin' Donuts smell into the bus.
Oh my God.
Just about all the bus got off at the next stop because they created on the bus, they created a hypnotic reality. That's it, you're gone. You got the smell, you got the music, you got the whole lot. You're gone and you're on the bus, you're just on the bus not really thinking about it. So that's you're ideally suggestible. That's the
Mm.
same thing. If you're tired, same thing in the evening times. People are tired, they put on the television, you're suggestible. The minute you're tired, highly suggestible. So the TV will work as a hypnotic reality as well. Same with your phone.
It's
So
amazing.
just to be conscious, that's all I'm saying. We as healers, we use it as therapists, and we use it with clients. We set up the hypnotic reality. We set up, you're going to get on this call, you're in this room, we're going to set it up in a way that we want you to change perspective. We want you to change perspective about your life. We want you to get, to an understanding of your life and change. That's transformation. So we want it as a therapist or a healer, but we have to be conscious. We can't do it unconsciously. You know, we want the client to be unconscious. We have to be conscious. And that's where this, to steward the session, to steward the ritual, you have to be incredibly conscious. It's so easy just to go unconscious, you know, to project our stuff onto the client and make it all about, it's like it's our stuff. Most of it is our stuff, you
Well,
know. We
most
haven't.
therapists are like that, you know. There's not many who are, and then they want to get the hook in. So you come back next week and you come back next month and you're always coming back. And so when I took the risk and left my 9 to 5, my babies were small. And I vowed I would never disempower my clients. And so it was a long, hard road. But it was, for me, it was the most rewarding one. And I can put my hand up and say I did my best through my life. There's nothing I regret. And I think to become conscious when you're at that stage of life, a younger stage, say, than most people become conscious, to have the chance to design your life, be the architect of your future and live with the values. What I've discovered is that many people just take on the values that have been given to them through the hypnosis, and they don't even know what their values are. I mean, I sat down with my children for an example and looked at the school values, which is kindness, being nice and kind. And I'm like, that's not a good value, because we didn't come here to placate everybody. We didn't come here to have an easy time. We came here, you know, to grow. And growth means endurance and stamina and resilience. And it means that there's challenges and there's going to be disappointment and pain. You know, so I said to them, do you not think, you know, valuing truth would be much more appropriate than valuing kindness? And this is where we've gone wrong. This is what I see, is that people are valuing kindness and inclusivity and equity, all of these things, where we need to be breaking down those structures that we've been hypnotized into and seeing what's real.
C.S. Lewis wrote, you know, C.S. Lewis wrote Narnia.
Yes.
He wrote a book, it was kind of a pamphlet on the English education system at the time. And he referred to what the education system was creating, which is about values at the time. They were creating all these new values in England. He said, you're creating, in his terms, you're creating men without chests. So what he was saying was, you're giving people values which are outside of them and they have to live up to.
Yes.
But they've no sense within their, he said, chest, within their being, they've no sense within their being of a goodness. For him, we are just naturally good. Plato and Confucius had the same thing. We're just naturally good. If we can tap into what is a natural goodness within ourselves, the values don't really matter. We're just naturally good. So he saw us in education terms creating values that we had to live up to, out whatever they are. Any values are something that you have to get up in the morning. I have to be this value. And he was like going, but the people have no chest. They've nothing inside themselves to go, no, I'm just naturally good, kind, loving. You know, it's just
That goes back to what I said to that woman yesterday. You don't need everything you're telling yourself that you need.
Exactly.
Eliminate that and then you're fine.
You're just good. But the thing about it is, because we haven't educated other people to understand that they're good, we think the other people are bad, you know, because if you're not good, you're bad. That's the way our psyche
Well, it just
works.
makes me think of religion and everybody who's a sinner.
Well, that's another hypnotic reality. But if you look at where game theory comes from, which a lot of the systems now are being developed based on game theory. Game theory at its root came from a prisoner's dilemma. Now, a prisoner's dilemma in a choice, how do you behave in the game? But the game is a prisoner's dilemma in prison. So why are you creating systems for humans based on the mentality in a prison?
Okay, so game theory is an enclosed system.
It's how the game works, you know,
and how the game works in that system.
Economics, money systems, and all created based on game theory. But you're doing it based on a prisoner's dilemma. The same is true of Machiavelli. Machiavelli wrote The Prince, the novel, and a lot of leaders go by this novel, The Prince by Machiavelli. Now Machiavelli wrote this novel based on navigating his life in an Italian prison,
Right.
right? So the same thing is true. We're creating systems based on navigating a structure that where everybody is not seeing themselves as good. Why are we doing this when
But
Plato
even
and
there,
Confucius,
it's blocking out the possibility of receiving from God.
or that you're a soul, you're an immortal soul, you're
Yeah.
vast, you're this vast person. Why are we limiting it down to a person in a prison and designing systems around navigating in a world of a prison? We're not going back to the thing and saying, hold on a
We're
minute.
all living in a beautiful prison, Vincent. That's what I think. And some of us who are finding our sovereignty now are beginning to see ways of cultivating outside of those systems to create some kind of foundation or structure for people to come to. Like, just give you an example, like Catherine McBean over in the UK. I don't know if you know her, setting up the People's Health Alliance, where there are people who facilitate healthcare but empower their patients to make their own decisions, give them all the information, and they're not captured. And that's the kind of thing that doesn't
Yeah.
really exist that we have to create now.
Yeah. So it's the same as I said about linear time. We have like those great leaders, Martin Luther King, all stood above linear time. So that cage that you see, the prison that you see, we have to in our own lives stand above that perspective and look down at the three stages that civilization is going through. Those three stages, because it's just an accumulation of individuals. So we have to stand above and look down and go, consciously, how do we want to do this? How do we want to create systems? How do we want to live? How do we want to just be naturally good? We're just naturally good.
This has been an amazing conversation, and we're going to wrap it up. I think it's a really good time because I'm feeling that we're in a limbo time where we're realizing that we have to do this. We're looking at everything and not knowing what we need, what's better, what's not better. And people, are pressurizing themselves to create something that's better, but they don't know what that is yet. So before we go, is there any advice that you would give to people who've listened to our conversation, who have come to this stage where they know they're on the precipice of really shifting into their sovereignty? They're still leaving stuff behind and are feeling that kind of back and forth going on.
I think it's like a trapeze, it's like, in that circus where you let one trapeze go and there's a moment where there's no trapeze. Now the next one's on its way, but hey, it's a long way away and it's a long way down. But we've got to trust. One of the things we do in university, school, and all is we trust in the books, we trust in the data, we trust in the graphs. We lose trust in ourselves. That's what C.S. Lewis was saying.
Yes.
In our chest, there is the trust that it's okay. I got the pineapple and the pig. If only I trusted, you know what I mean? So I think the trapeze is there. We just have to trust that in that gap where we feel holy shit, it's a long way down. We just trust the pig and the pineapple is close.
That's brilliant, because when you're letting go of all those old structures that have held us,
Has to let go, yeah.
you have to let go of them.
Yeah.
And when we're waiting for the new structures, and
They're there.
I think the best thing that people can do is just formulate what it is that's missing, that they're afraid of,
Mm.
you know, and I'm finding that the answers show up really, really quickly.
Yeah.
If you don't try, do or do not do, just don't try. But you just go and do something else and you've put it out there. This is what I want the answer to. And it just comes tumbling in.
Because it'll
Like
come from the
the other
goodness.
trapeze comes in.
It'll come from the goodness. If the systems, the new systems, education systems like the health system you're saying in England, if they come from the goodness, why wouldn't they be good? But if the systems come from the prison mentality and navigating, they're never going to be. They're always going to be like competition and killing. Whereas let the systems come naturally from the goodness. They'll flow from the goodness, and
Oh,
all
from the
those will be
goodness.
good. Yeah.
Well, look, this has been brilliant. And I really appreciate your time. And I'll put your links and everything below, and everybody go and buy Vincent's book and have a read of it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Abby. Thank you.
Thank you so much.